Danny O'Malia has spent a lifetime in and around the retail grocery business. He began learning about customer service from the master, his father, the late Joe O'Malia. At age 8, when Joe owned a small grocery store in Broad Ripple that actually failed. Later, he worked part-time for his dad at Preston's at 71st and Keystone, and then starting in 1966 at O'Malia's. Danny served as president of O'Malia's from 1986 through 2006, the last 5 years as part of the Marsh Supermarkets chain. He brought a lifetime of customer service experience to TrustPoint in 2007 to spread the gospel of building culture around customer service to as many companies as possible. In 2009, Danny had added keynote speaking to his customer service programs, and he started his own company called Indy's Trusted Servant. Please give him a huge round of applause as he comes to take our stage. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. I hope I do this right. I hate this stuff. It's great to be here. I'm here to talk tonight about something Chris mentioned, culture, corporate culture, and how that feeds a company's customer service. And every company has a culture. The question is, what kind of a culture is it going to be? And every company should have a culture statement. This was the culture statement that Joe O'Malia spread to everybody around the time he started his very first store in 1966. For those of you who don't know, we ended up with 9 grocery stores around central Indiana and 950 employees. And everybody knew this little slogan that I thought Joe made it up myself, but I've heard it so many times since I got out of the grocery business that I'm not really sure whether he came up with it or somebody else did. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. One of the things that frustrates me is that too many companies that might start out with a good culture lose the culture along the way. And I try to point out to companies, some companies that have kept their good culture and some companies that have not, and some of the results of that. On my suggested reading list, I've got a couple of books I'm going to mention tonight. And if you'd like a copy of the suggested reading list that goes to all my clients, just simply see me and give me your card afterwards, and I'll write that down and I'll send it to you. One of the books is First Break All the Rules by Marcus Buckingham. I'm going to talk a little bit about breaking rules, and then I'm going to give you an example of a great company that's kept its culture alive all this time since it started as a shoe store in Seattle and later became Nordstrom. And in the book, The Nordstrom Way, they have the Nordstrom organizational chart. Man, I was jealous when I saw this chart, because when my dad and I drew an organization chart for O'Malia's in the late 70s, we put a traditional triangle right side up. As you can see, the triangle's upside down at Nordstrom. Everybody sees this at Nordstrom. They talk about it all the time. And who's on top? The customers. And who's next? The people that deal directly with the customers. And this is where a lot of companies go wrong. And who's at the very bottom? The big shots. They're there to serve everybody else. If you run your company that way, you'll have the kind of service that Nordstrom is reputed to have. And here's the thing about the rules. Nordstrom has one rule for its employees, and it's down at the corner of the triangle. Use good judgment in all situations. And they do. You hear stories about Nordstrom's making refunds for products they never even carried. That's because their employees are empowered. And I'll talk about empowerment a little bit more in just a minute. But let's move along and continue on the rule thing. Now, one of my clients is Vic Ruthig. Some of you know him, Liberty Tax. I will tell you there are some rules you can't break. He has me in to talk about customer service. Before that, his compliance guy comes in and talks to his employees about legal, moral, ethical. Legal, moral, ethical. So I have to get up and say, break the rules as long as it's not illegal, immoral, and unethical, okay, or unethical. So Nordstrom says this about rules. I love this. Rules give employees another reason to say no to customers. That's why we hate rules. The trick is teach your employees which rules they can break and which rules they can't break. I love this. I'm a former English teacher and a grammar phobe, and I used to teach spelling. And what's the one spelling rule you can all remember from school? I before E except after C. Remember that? I was driving down Capitol Avenue. Forget what the sign says. This is what it said, but I had to come back with the camera later. It said, I before E except after C, weird. You can't spell weird that way. And finally, empowerment. If you do things right, you will live the Mary Kay Ash. I tried to hire nice people and let them be as nice as they could be. God bless you all. See you next month.